Right now on the National Weather Desk, 1 week later, as the number of deaths rises and the search for the missing continues, victims of Hurricane Helene look to rebuild their lives.
We've been waiting for help to show up, and they just showed up out of the blue, remembering us.
We'll take a closer look at Helene's storm surge.
Just 1 cubic yard of storm surge weighs about 1,700 pounds.
And why the name Helene may now be retired.
How does a hurricane's name get retired? Again, it's all about impact.
We'll tell you about a NASA mission to study one of Jupiter's moons.
Hoping to gain a bit of a better understanding of the moon itself.
And social media-rology returns with weather lessons on wind and fall colors.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Good morning and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm meteorologist Matt Ritter. It's now been 1 week since Hurricane Helene battered the southeast. At least 215 deaths are now blamed on the massive storm, making Helene the deadliest hurricane to strike the mainland part of the U.S. since Katrina. And hope is fading that the possibly hundreds of people still missing will be found alive. But rescue crews are still trekking over rugged terrain and impassable roads, hoping to find survivors. Limited cell service and a lack of electricity is making that job even harder. But for the first time since last Friday, the number of homes and businesses with power is less than 1 million. We begin our team coverage with Ed Diorio reporting from the town of Fairview, North Carolina.
The water was 3 feet over this bridge. The shock was so devastating, and you've heard the story with people just crying and my neighbor just on the pavement looking at our bridge, just sobbing and bawling.
While fallen trees and power lines can be found all over the area right now, Garin Creek can barely be considered a road in some parts. Spray-painted lines signifying unstable asphalt. But over the last few days, there's also been some new sights.
We had half a dozen Chinooks the other day, all day, back and forth, and helicopters all up and down the mountain.
After nearly a week, resource and rescue teams are making it deeper into the rural community. With it comes a new outlook.
This is so hopeful. We've been waiting for help to show up, and they just showed up out of the blue, remembering us. And I know there are solutions. Yeah, I try to be upbeat. You have to be optimistic. I think we help create our future by the way we look at the world. Be kind and help others. And that's the solution. That's what they're doing, out of the blue.
When I first got back here on Friday, I had to swim to get the trucks out.
Aaron Young's family business took on a tremendous amount of water.
If you want to know what we've been dealing with and the mess that we're dealing with, just take a shot of that.
Young is in the business of propane and fuel oil sales. Right now, they're delivering hundreds of gallons of gasoline.
We're all in this together.
To keep generators on for emergency crews.
Dad had some great friends from Napanee, Indiana that came down and have been helping us muck out all of the parts store.
Cameron Sevi doesn't know Aaron Young from Adam.
I just got a phone call and they said we're going, and I'm like, I'll go.
But he's helping to rebuild his town. And what's a town without a road?
My employees that can work equipment are rebuilding roads. I'm gonna tell you something, I love them folks too, and I love working for them.
Meet Ronnie Bozeman.
The road was just deep in mud. So I just started pushing, and we realized we had a good little bit of river rock here and a good little bit of base like you're standing on right there with the rock. And that's what roads are built on.
A section of Crimson Laurel Way washed away. Bozeman and company are putting it back together.
But you kind of got to flatten it out and get on grade. This is your grade. And then what you do, you just sort of kind of dump here, dump there, and just start giving it a slight rise.
That's how Bakersville rebuilds.
That's what made this nation great. It's people helping people and everybody pulling together.
Of course, Helene made landfall in Florida with 140-mile-per-hour winds and a massive storm surge. There is significant damage here, but not the scope of in North Carolina. 19 deaths in the state are blamed on Helene. Fewer than 10,000 homes and businesses are still waiting for power. As for the storm surge, its impact was felt miles away from where the center of Helene made landfall. Carlos Suarez has more.
The items that once brought joy to Marie Rowley's life litter the front yard of her house again.
And you've been flooded out twice.
Twice, yeah. I got hit by a dahlia last year, flooded my living room.
A walk inside the 29-year-old's home captures the damage left behind by the latest storm, Hurricane Helene's deadly flooding.
Everything was underwater. The drawers, I mean, in my closet, almost the top drawers of my closet, just everything was shifted around, floating at one point.
Rowley's story is one we encountered throughout St. Petersburg, days after Helene's close to 7-foot storm surge left parts of the city underwater. In neighboring Tampa, over 3 feet of water swept through Julie Curry's bakery, Bacon Babes. Its waterlogged entrance, bright and pink, gives way to a dark and soaked kitchen filled with tens of thousands of dollars in damaged commercial refrigerators, freezers, and ovens.
The water line was here.
$60,000.
As you can see, the victims of Hurricane Helene need our help. That's why our parent company, Sinclair, is partnering with the Salvation Army to lend a hand. Funds raised will go to emergency aid, including clean water, food, and cleanup kits. So far, viewers have donated $144,000. Go to sinclaircares.com or scan the QR code on your screen right now to make a donation. And let's take a closer look at how much storm surge there was from Hurricane Helene and how it compares to storm surge from past hurricanes. Here's meteorologist Violet Skyber.
The storm surge that we predict is for normal sea level, so 3 feet is above that. That's when we start to see some water moving in just along the shoreline areas, but it starts to cause some mass flooding as we get up to 6 feet, moving into the first story of homes, filling up basements. When we get up to a 12-foot storm surge, that's when it starts to reach the second story of homes. What did we see with Hurricane Helene? Well, it got up to 15 feet. That means the second story of homes. But this is not setting any records for the highest storm surge we've ever had in the United States. These were the top 3 years. Hurricane Camille in 1969 had a 24-foot storm surge. Same with Hurricane Opal in 1995. The highest we've ever seen in the United States was from Hurricane Katrina back in 2005, a 28-foot storm surge. And the power of this water is immense. Just 1 cubic yard of storm surge weighs about 1,700 pounds. Comparing this to a car, a person, and a house, the force it takes to move these objects, just 1 to 3 feet can sweep away people and stall cars. 3 to 6 feet can sweep away most cars, and 6 to 12 feet can sweep away homes. 6 feet for a 1-story house, 12 feet for 2-story homes. And because of the storm surge and even the flooding as this system moved inland, Hurricane Helene is in the top 10 deadliest hurricanes and rising, as still many missing are unaccounted for.
And with such damage and destruction, one question on people's mind is, will the name Helene be retired? Odds are yes, but who was responsible for retiring storm names, and why are they retired in the first place? To find out, let's turn to meteorologist Alex Cordero.
How does a hurricane's name get retired? Again, it's all about impact. That means that there's no actual set number in terms of deaths or damage. Requirements are subjective. The World Meteorological Organization's Hurricane Committee, they meet yearly every spring to determine which name gets retired. If a storm is so deadly or costly that future use of the name is inappropriate or insensitive, well, the name is likely to be retired. But it doesn't mean it has to be strong. It could be a weak storm in terms of wind speeds. Again, it's that impact. How deadly is it? How much damage does it do? Those are big factors. It could be a tropical storm, as you can see, 2 in history have been retired, or it could be a stronger storm like a Cat 4 or 5. Again, all about impact.
Elsewhere, tracking the tropics this morning, Hurricane Kirk is now a major Category 4 storm with maximum sustained winds of 145 miles per hour. It's going to stay in the Atlantic with no threat to North America, but its remnants may make headlines by hitting Western Europe by the middle of next week. Tropical storm Leslie is right behind Kirk. It's expected to strengthen to a hurricane by tomorrow as it heads northwest. And over in the Caribbean, we continue to watch a disturbance. It's now back to a 40% chance of developing into a storm over the next week. And tonight could be a great opportunity to see the northern lights. A massive geomagnetic storm earlier this week means the aurora could be visible as far south as a line from Oregon to Pennsylvania. The best time to see the lights will be the early hours of Saturday morning. And coming up on the National Weather Desk, we'll learn about NASA's upcoming mission to Jupiter's moon Europa. And we'll look at how drought is impacting Texas's peanut farms.
I'm meteorologist Charlie Lopresti with a look at the Northeast. Afternoon temperatures today will range from upper 60s in northern New England to likely mid 70s for parts of New York, northern New Jersey, and even southern New England. It's going to be a mild looking Friday. Now, the clouds we have out there today will be of the high thin variety. Enough sun will filter through to make it a pretty good looking day. This is 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Look for an approaching front for late tonight and into Saturday morning. That will bring some showers, and those showers move out during the morning on Saturday.
I'm Chief Meteorologist Gerard Jabali. Here's a look at the mid-Atlantic region. We got one front approaching as we move through late Friday. Mostly cloudy out ahead of it, and a light shower or two may pop up along it, but otherwise we're looking mostly dry. As that front goes by, Saturday's looking gorgeous. We'll see sunshine until our next front arrives late Sunday to bring some more showers to the region. Temperatures will be warm, mid to upper 70s for Friday. Saturday will likely get close to 80 degrees across many regions.
I'm meteorologist Charlotte Carl. Here's a look at your high temperatures for this afternoon. We have the upper 70s along this area of land in the southeast where we're going to see widespread cloud cover and also a lot of rain today. And then we have the upper 80s and low 90s pretty much everywhere else. So here's a look at that hour by hour forecast. There's that widespread cloud cover stretching from the southern corner of Alabama up to Charleston and the eastern portions of North Carolina. Sea breeze shower activity to be expected pretty much everywhere that sees it every day.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
Different views at this southern New England pond every 10 minutes thanks to the ever-changing dramatic clouds blowing through. In the Bristol area, a look at something wedged in the moist earth. It appears during recent storms, a sliver of tree bark got stuck upright in the ground. And the droplets clinging to this spider web after the morning fog look like exquisite, multi-hued jewelry.
For more content like this, like the National Weather Desk on Facebook.
Jupiter's moon Europa is thought to be one of the best places to host life beyond Earth because of its icy surface and the possibility of water underneath. Some sci-fi fans may remember that in 2010, the year we made contact, we're not allowed to land there. Fair enough. Soon NASA will launch a mission to learn more about the celestial body, and we won't land there. Meteorologist Garrett Haid has more.
And coming up next Tuesday on October 10th, SpaceX's Falcon Heavy will be lifting off from Cape Canaveral with one of NASA's largest spacecrafts ever built, known as Europa Clipper. And this mission will be bound for a moon orbiting one of the largest planets in our solar system, Jupiter. And we'll be joining a large family of spacecrafts that have either flown past Jupiter or spent some time in orbit around it, such as the Pioneer 10 and 11, as well as Voyager probes all the way back in the 1970s, as well as Galileo and the Juno spacecrafts in the late 1990s and mid-2010s, respectively. And the goal of the Europa Clipper mission is to take several flybys of Jupiter's moon Europa, hence the name, hoping to gain a bit of a better understanding of the moon itself, as well as to find out whether or not the icy moon is habitable for any kind of astrobiological life.
So Europa is an interesting target because it's one of the, now we know, icy moons in the outer solar system that we have pretty good information suggesting that there's a liquid ocean underneath that icy crust. What it'll be looking for is A, is there liquid water? B, are there other chemicals in that water that could support the beginnings of life? And then third, is there an energy source that gives it enough warmth and energy to drive those life processes?
Of course, you can follow along with the mission on NASA's website or watch the launch itself when it comes live here next week on their YouTube channel or at nasa.tv.
Well, several peanut growers in the Texas Panhandle are experimenting with a new technique to see if they can use less water to grow their peanuts. Drew Powell looks at how the harvest is going and if this new method is proving to be successful.
We want to keep every drop of water that we can in the Ogallala so that we have it as long as humanly possible.
It don't rain anymore, so we're just dry and need all the help we can get.
Growing peanuts in this part of the Texas Panhandle is not something new. It's been going on for at least 50 years.
Peanuts do well here. They're a very good companion to cotton. Cotton does really well following peanuts, and peanuts are really good for the soil.
It's not just in the Texas Panhandle, as more ag producers and farmers across the state are turning to peanuts. A latest report from Texas A&M AgriLife indicated that 14,000 more acres of peanuts were planted this year in the Lone Star State.
Now we water peanuts when they're pegging, so the peanuts, they'll bloom above ground and they shoot a peg out from the bloom, and the peg goes in the ground and creates the peanut. When they're pegging, we like to keep that ground moist. I typically water on an odd schedule, so 3.5 or 4.5 days, so that the water is not in the same place at day and night.
Every gallon of water that ag producers and farmers are able to save, it's just water that they're able to bank and use in the future.
We need to get all the help we can get to reduce the usage of our water. We use the aquifer for our irrigation, and it's starting to dry up. And with the lack of rain and the drought that we've been in for years, we just need to use every possible tool there is to save water.
When it comes to harvesting peanuts, it takes about 2 weeks or more to get the peanuts underground and put in a truck and transported to their final destination.
Well, we got peanuts. It's Friday. How about a beer? Hold on. Meteorologist Amy Aronson shows us different seasons call for different types of beer.
Welcome to Guinness Brewery in Halethorpe, Maryland, where the change in seasons is bringing a change in the type of beer people are drinking.
Yeah, and even historically, there were beers brewed for certain seasons, like Oktoberfest beers that we have here. This is a Schwartz beer. It's dark. It's got roasted barley in it, which is partly what gives it its dark color. And basically, we see from national beer sales trends and everything that people tend to drink darker and higher ABV beer as the weather gets colder. Probably just because there's a lot more flavor and you can kind of sip on them, sort of the way that people drink whiskey around a fire pit kind of thing. So this is our Schwartz beer. It's actually delicious, but we've also got stout, porter, all those dark beers in that realm. So.
And during the warmer months, people tend to go for the lighter beers.
The opposite of a dark stout, so light lagers. So everybody thinks of, the big ones, Budweiser and stuff like that. But any blonde ales, fruited lagers. Right now, the Modelo is the huge import Mexican lager. So there are lots that are more suited to hot weather and sort of grilling and being outside. So.
And here at Guinness, they say there's one beer you can enjoy all year long.
No, actually, I think Guinness, it's only 4.2% alcohol, and it's pretty low in calories comparatively. So it's really an all-year beer. I think some people associate it with the winter, but we like to say any day is a lovely day for a Guinness. So.
Cheers to cooler weather and good beer. Here in Halethorpe, Maryland, I'm meteorologist Amy Aronson.
And now time for a segment we call Social Media-rology, where we share social media posts from our team of meteorologists across the country. We begin with Amanda Verrier and a recent TikTok post about why leaves change color in the fall.
There are 3 factors that go into this: the biochemical makeup of a leaf, the lack of sunlight, or the progression of lack of sunlight, and the weather. Now, the green color in leaves are due to chlorophyll, and chlorophyll is continuously being produced and broken down throughout the growing season. But what's happening during fall is the process is slowing down due to cooler temperatures. With the holds in production of chlorophyll, the other chemicals kind of take over. These other chemicals being xanthophylls and carotenoids that are already present in the leaf. Anthocyanins, on the other hand, are not present and need to actually be produced within the leaf. Weather conditions before and during fall determine how vibrant those colors are going to be, mostly based on temperature and moisture. The
most favorable conditions are when spring is warm and wet, when summer is favorable and is dry on the backside, and when autumn has sunny days but cool nights.
Peak fall color has arrived in the higher elevations of Maine. Here's a view from Sugarloaf this morning, October 2nd. Yeah, look at that beautiful fall color. Here's a view from another ski resort mountain in Maine, Saddleback, and you can also see the gorgeous peak fall color that has developed, and it's looking great. Here's where fall color stands across northern New England. From the Northeast Kingdom of Vermont through the higher elevations of Maine, we are at peak color. So go out and check it out this weekend.
Okay, have you ever thought about the wind, why we have wind, why it's created? Well, air always flows from high to low pressure. When you have high pressure, air sinks, low pressure, air rises. So the air flowing around the high pressure is trying to fill the void of the low pressure, and that cycle continues. In this example, we have a stronger high pressure system and stronger low pressure system. You see more isobars, or lines of equal pressure. And so the air is really trying to come around that high pressure and fill that void of that low pressure system, thus generating more wind.
Time now for a short break, but first we take in some views of Laguna Beach, California from above.
Well, a very good Friday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Andrew Buckmichael. Cold front moving across the plains, and you can see it's a little cooler today than the last several days, with highs in the 70s across the northern plains and a few places trying to get into the mid 80s to the south. How about some 90s there in Nebraska and also Kansas for the day tomorrow, and that even gets into Iowa and portions of Missouri. But we will have another cold front swinging through on Sunday, dropping our temperatures and kicking some rain out of here.
Good Friday morning to you. Meteorologist Chris Suchan. Look at our forecast across the region, starting off with clear skies, comfortable temperatures in Amarillo, 55, a little milder with a shower or thunderstorm possible in Louisiana. They're around New Orleans. The afternoon, 79 in New Orleans, chance for showers and thunderstorms, otherwise hot sun for the rest of the region. Saturday, the best rain chance will be, in fact, along the Gulf Coast, where we could see a few showers or storms, otherwise hot sun for the rest of the region.
Well, hi there in TGIF, everybody. Friday morning, I'm meteorologist Shannon O'Donnell. Out west, the heat continues in the interior of California. Okay, near the coastline with 79 near the Golden Gate Bridge, but 90s and triple digits in the interior, including Phoenix again at 109. First big storm of October arriving in the PNW. It'll be a rainy morning commute for Seattle and Portland, and wildfire danger is still high in parts of Nevada. And that's the scene from here.
You are watching the National Weather Desk.
Time now to check the forecast for this weekend's major football games. Here's meteorologist Katie Morgan.
Let's start with some of our college games of the week. Looking at UCLA taking on Penn State. That's going to be at State College in Pennsylvania. Temperatures feeling good, very fall-like with mid-60s and lots of sunshine. Then we head to Texas. We go to College Station, Texas, where Mizzou is taking on Texas A&M. That is going to be a great matchup with both teams in the top 25. Lots of sunshine here and temperatures in the mid to upper 80s. Then heading to the West Coast, Michigan at Washington. This will be an evening game and looking good here with mainly clear skies, temperatures in the low 60s. To Sunday we go. We'll start on the West Coast. Cardinals versus the 49ers in San Francisco. A nice day, warm in fact for California with temperatures in the mid to upper 80s and sunshine. Heading to Texas once again, the Bills at the Texans. Houston, temperatures in the upper 80s, and the Browns taking on the Commanders in Washington, D.C., temperatures in the mid-70s at kickoff. Hope you're having a great start to your Friday, and have a great weekend. I'm meteorologist Katie Morgan.
Thank you so much for joining us. I'm meteorologist Matt Ritter. We'd like to remind you that you can still scan the QR code on your screen to help victims of Hurricane Helene. This is an effort of our parent company Sinclair and the Salvation Army. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you right back here on Monday.